People lined up in Lansing this week to debate a proposal that gives guidelines to school on giving accommodations to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender students. Examples are referring to students by their preferred names or pronouns and allowing them to use the bathroom and locker room of the gender they identify with. Even if the school board passes this, a school district does not have to adopt it, and some school districts have already adopted their own policies here in the state. Stephen, let me start with you on this. Is it a bad idea to have some kind of policy like this at the state level?
I mean, I think, you know, so I think you've got to deal with the sensibilities here on all sides. And I am an advocate for people being able to decide for themselves what their gender is and what bathroom they go to. But you also got to be careful with kids, especially about what does that mean and how do you handle it? Now, I think this whole thing has been made into a much bigger deal than it should. Most kids, I think, don't have that much of an issue with who's in the bathroom, who's not. I mean, think about kindergartners. Kindergartners all go to the bathroom together. There's not male and female bathrooms.
Sometimes on the floor.
Right. I mean, there's something wrong with the way that we deal with this issue from that end that makes something like this as controversial as it's been. This isn't about sex. This is just about where you go to the bathroom, which really should be your own private business. And I'm not sure that anybody should be able to tell you which bathroom you go in or you don't. Of course, you know, I mean, we live in a society where that sort of gender role and assignment is wrapped up in sexuality and people's fears about sexuality. And so you get this sort of bizarre argument in places like Lansing, where you got a lot of really small-minded people sitting around talking about a parade of horribles, you know, predators,
talking about,
this other stuff, which don't have anything to do with the conversation.
And that's not all they're talking about. Everybody wants to talk about this as it's a straight bathroom issue and locker room issue and who showers where and who does this. There are accommodations you can make to make this a lot less difficult than it needs to be. You can take the doors off the general bathroom and let everybody use a private stall, as you know, anybody who's traveled seen that in other countries. But it gets caught up in the political, you know, the easy solutions. Sometimes the advocates are so interested in making a point that they forget about protecting the kids. I would worry about what would happen to a child behind the closed doors of a bathroom in terms of bullying and other things. But the basic problem here is the school board set about to make these policies in the dark without consulting parents, and
I'm not sure that they did that.
That's absolutely true.
So they did consult parents.
Not
they didn't
until after the fact. They drew up the policies
the people who
first.
are upset about this, but they did consult a lot.
They had 7,000 comments or 700 people at this hearing the other day, and a lot of the concern is not necessarily about bathrooms or locker rooms. It's what happens to your child once they go to school and your knowledge of it. It was the stripping of parental rights. And just because you have a transgender child doesn't mean you should lose your parental rights.
Do you think it is stripping of parental rights?
Your child can go to school, change his name, change his gender on all the forms at any age. And these proposals didn't say, okay, in high schools, we'll treat high schoolers different than elementary school students. And all of a sudden, your kid for months is being called by a different name than you call him or her at home. I think that's a stripping of parental rights. Parents should be involved in this decision and in
I think
helping the child and counseling
I think
the child.
What they were trying to address there is kids who are in that situation whose parents don't approve and who may be in the position of abusing kids.
Schools should not be.
Now, what's the school's role in that? I don't know.
So you take the worst case scenario and you strip all parents of their rights.
Well, that's maybe not the best
approach. And I think that's when you talk about paternalism, that's the complete example that somehow these school officials are going to be more sensitive and more attuned to the child than their own parents are. I can't think of a time when a child.
There are some instances where that's true.
There may be, Steve, but I don't think you can treat everybody as if that's going to be the case. And these children need their parents. They need their family support, and the school should not be doing things to minimize that.
So do you think, let's get back to the original question, do you think there needs to be some kind of statewide policy coming from the State Board of Education?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's the best way to handle it. I mean, I think you've got a number of different things going on here, and not all of them probably can be addressed or solved with one sort of overarching policy. I mean, I sort of wish it had been handled a little differently by the board. I don't think the board's wrong about what they're trying to do. I think they may have done it in a way that's a little more ham-handed
If you
than
did
is
this
useful.
at the individual school level, if all parents got
And which
together
school
at the
districts are doing at the
Exactly.
their own level.
And said, what makes sense here? What is everybody comfortable with? What works best for the children? What, and take the politics out of it on both sides and say, how can we accommodate these children in a way that makes everybody feel safe and comfortable and doesn't disrupt the school and doesn't lead to bullying? I think you can handle it at the local level where parents can talk to each other.
All right, and I think we're going to be seeing a decision from them, see if they change any of these guidelines coming out of a lot of the public comment that, Nolan, you were talking about that came earlier in Lansing. All right, we'll keep an eye on that.